Okay, everybody, you've probably seen on my YouTube page that I've got a mini rocker box listed on there. It's just a bunch of snapshots of this thing. I thought I would go a little bit more detail on this, show you how it was all put together. So this is a great little thing for sampling. It's not very big, something you can carry with you fairly easily. It's about 2.5 feet long. Inside the box itself is about 9.5 inches. Again, you can make this any dimensions you want, but I just thought I'd give you a heads up on how this is kind of put together, so if you want to make one of your own size, you can. So anyways, you got so if you saw in the previous video, the support, or the riffle tray supports here, each one of these is made out of 1/2 inch aluminum angle, and then I just cut those to fit inside the box. Those are then attached down in here on the outside. This one's actually attached to the handle on the outside, but if you notice, I've got just wing nuts holding each one of those supports on. And then you notice that I have a bunch of holes in each one along here on the supports, and what those are is for if you wanted to make riffles in your box, you could attach those on there. You see I got nuts and bolts on there that you could attach those right to the riffle tray. In fact, I do put in one riffle right at the very end, just basically to give the riffle tray a support, and I'll show you that a little bit later, but that's that. Okay, you can see I've attached the riffle onto the riffle support and just used a couple small nuts and bolts there. But you can see that gives this whole tray a little bit more support. When you slam it down in there, it keeps it nice and straight and sturdy. Then what we have up here is the rocker box. You see I just screwed a few pieces of wood in there just below the lip of the hopper, so that when you actually fit the box with the screen in it up there, it kind of sits down inside there. And that's how that, of course, this is a homemade piece of aluminum, a homemade grizzly with a piece of aluminum I just drilled a bunch of holes into. And handle, I just cut out a handle and attached it. Like I said, it's attached to the support inside there, but I just use a wing nut and a washer on there to hold that in place. And then this will just slide down, and when you're traveling with it, again, you can carry this fairly easy. You can just pick it up by this little support right here, and everything else fits inside the box, and I'll show you that at the very end when it's all taken apart for traveling. So now that I've got the carpet and the expanded metal in there, the way to hold this all down, I got a couple wooden dowels here. I stick up underneath the angle iron, or the aluminum angle, and then it all just comes down. You got to make sure the dowels are up far enough and they're not being blocked by the riffle here. But anyway, it all sits down nice and flush like that. These dowels actually help hold down the carpet and the expanded metal once they're underneath there, and then lets the gold doesn't let the gold and the sand get underneath here. It kind of just runs along inside those dowels. Next thing you set in on top of that, I made another grizzly, and these are smaller holes. These are like a 1/4 inch holes. The holes that were in the hopper are like excuse me, these are 1/4, and these are only like 1/8 of an inch holes. But I went ahead and made what they call a low pressure area. So I'll show you that. You stick that up here at the back, and so as all the sand, so you've got the sand that falls through here, which is a 1/4 inch, and then comes down on the drop back, which I'll show you in a little bit. It comes down onto this and creates kind of a low pressure area. So these are only 1/8 inch holes, so the bigger rocks will roll off those and come down into the rest of the rocker box, but the smaller stuff, and this is where all the fine gold gets caught, will fall into these holes here, get trapped underneath, and because it's kind of slowing the water down here, it creates a low pressure area, and of course the gold will settle out in underneath there. So I thought that was a pretty neat little thing, and it seems to work pretty good for what I've been using. It's good for catching the fine gold, of course. Kind of see it back here like this. Okay, then I hold everything down once got the carpet expanded metal in there. I put the dowels underneath the supports, under the riffle bar support. To hold this all down, since these are just kind of hanging here loose, I squashed these down and I drilled a hole through the wood, through the aluminum angle here, and then you squash this down and you stick a bolt in there. Now, there's probably some better ways to do this, but it seems to work okay for me. So you squash down the support, you stick the bolt through there, and that holds everything in place, and I've got one on the other side as well. So you squash the two supports down, stick the bolts through the holes there, and holds everything in place. So the last thing to put on is the drop back, and again I just used a piece of wood here, kind of slide back in here. You could probably use something a little lighter than this. So anyways, that's kind of how that looks, and then you've got to put of course you got to put the carpet in on top of that. So now what you have is some carpet that's angled back, dropping it back into the hole here. All the gravel runs down here, a lot of the fine gold gets caught in here, everything else falls back, falls onto that punch plate underneath. So again, all the sand falls through the hopper down onto the carpet. You can see pieces of wood in here that kind of keeps the drop back from resting all the way against the back of the box. And then so that there's about a half an inch worth of space back here so that all this gravel and sand can fall, and then it rolls in onto that punch plate below. And again, all the 1/8 inch rocks or less will fall through, and everything bigger will come out down onto the expanded metal and then out. Again, this is basically for fine gold and for sampling. Again, these are 1/2 inch riffles, so they're pretty good size for small gold. You'd probably want something like this for larger nuggets. Again, then if you're going to do that, you're going to have larger holes in your hopper. But for me, right now, where I'm hunting, I'm only finding fine gold, so this does a good job of keeping all the fine gold in the box. I'll show you how this is all put together at the end so you can carry it. So to put this together, when you're ready to take it home or carry it to wherever you're going, you just pull the back out and stick it up here on the punch plate in the back, and then this hopper will actually sit right up on top there like that. And then you can just carry the whole thing just like that. Now it is kind of heavy when you're carrying it, but it's not nearly as heavy as a large one would be, and if you had a place where you could go that was fairly close, you could carry this fairly simple or fairly easily to that place. I'd say it's probably 15 to 20 pounds or less. But again, it's just something small for sampling, or if you're looking for fine gold, the way I've got this set up, it's good for fine gold. And so that's my mini rocker box. So there's how it looks when it's all put together. Put the handle up. You're ready to start shoveling gravel into the hopper and rocking it away.